it's Amy, also known as Highonyoursupply. This is my first YouTube video, super stoked, and I figured we'd kick it off with a time-lapse of a commission that I recently got from a client. I had a client who was asking for me to paint their beloved red brick home on paper in watercolor, and so I was like, yeah, I can definitely do that. Let's bust out some fundamentals for sure. So this is kind of what that video is about, just kind of like the steps that I took to go through the process and then the end result. So hey, like, comment, and subscribe for sure, and check out the video. Here it is now. Yes. So I start off in the beginning just kind of laying down some base colors. Because we're dealing with a red brick house, I wanted to use this kind of off-white, almost creamy color to just really set the base for this house. From there, I just jump into the sky, using like this kind of light muted blue, filling in all the crevices of like the actual area. Then I go in, I even add more saturated color. I start to blend it in, a little bit of water, just to bring out more of that bluey blue of the sky. I then take a paper towel just to blot out certain areas, kind of give it that faux cloud look. Yeah. We start bringing in some of that landscape, foliage it up, really just using the lightest of green that I could mix up. Just something to coat that first layer. Starting with the grass, moving into those bushes in the foreground. And then we have some trees kind of coming off to this side of the house. It's not like they're in the backyard, but they're kind of in the front yard. Just giving those a light coat as well. So yeah, working on that street right there, filling in all around the address itself, the text. You'll start to see, yeah, I definitely used too much water in that street. That's all right, we'll come back later to fix it. I move on to that backyard fence, and then now we start adding in green shadows to the lawn, and then also the trees in the background. I also knock out some of these windows, reflecting that blue in the sky. I even start to add some shadows to underneath the rooftop, just where that ledge is. Yeah. So here's the fun part, really knocking out the bricks in this house. It's all about finding that pattern, how bricks lay, it's like every other one, and then boom. What I do to one part of the house, I do to the rest of it. Just kind of laying them all down, making sure that they line up to a certain degree. Here we got some detailing on that brick mailbox. I like how it's a matching combo. Super cute, super sturdy. Here's where I go back in, using that same color, maybe just a touch darker, and I start to add the shadows on some of these bricks, just where there's foliage hanging over the house, or all the shadows from underneath the roof, or even around the corners and crevices of the house itself. You'll start to see some shadows. Same thing for underneath the windows and things like that, and especially over in like the front door area. A lot of shadows going on those bricks. And then we start to bring in those deeper greens on the lawn. A little bit more of a warmer green mixed here. Just kind of laying it on thin, giving it a nice wash. Every now and then I'll go back in and blend some of that green out, just so it's a little bit softer. These are really going to be the shadows from the trees. You can see my reference right there. I was like, where is these shadows at? It's always good to look at your reference, especially if you're using one. This is where I start to add the shadows into like all the foliage, all the trees, the bushes, just in the background, foreground, and middle ground. Yeah, the trick here, think about clusters when you're really dotting on those leaves. Keep it random, and you know, that'll give you like the best organic outcome. Yeah, happy little trees, bro. So I just keep going a little bit darker each time with every layer. Of course, I make sure to let the layers dry before painting on top of it, just so things don't get muddy. Based on the reference, I noticed a lot of these bushes in the foreground were different tones. Some of the smaller bushes were more yellowy, whereas other bushes were more deeper. Maybe they had some blues in there. So it was all about kind of changing up the values within these bushes to make it more believable to my reference, right? I'm kind of basing it off of 2 photos plus my own drawing or my own rendering of just like the rough sketch. Now we're adding those deeper shades to the trees in the background. Oh yeah. Now you'll notice there's a glossy layer just like on all the white areas of the paper where it's like the trim of the house or like the gutters or even parts of that like front porch door area. I used masking fluid to help keep those areas just pure paper white. And then here's where I start to use a rubber cement eraser to pull up that masking fluid. I go in with a liner brush, adding in those shadows all around our windows. And I kept these 2 trees up front separate from all the rest because I wanted to paint them as if they were blooming. So we basically have 2 seasons going on right here, dead summer and then early spring because these 2 are blooming. And I also jump around a lot in my painting just to make sure I'm working on something that's dry already. So I start to do a little bit of this really patriotic flag that's like hanging in front of their house. Really cool. I started off with that blue and then I waited for it to dry completely before I started to add the red stripes. Too many times you get something that bleeds into another color just because it's not completely dry yet. From there, I fill in the address at the bottom. I wanted to use a color that was similar to the roof, just to help keep repetition within the whole composition. And I also felt that it really helped having this purple blossoming tree in the front to also play off the purple in the roof and in the address. From here, I take titanium white gouache and I start to clean up all the white areas in the scene. But yeah, I used some of that white gouache to make some of the blossoms on the tree, just because it's a little bit more opaque than watercolor white, you know? And then I also use white gel pen to get into like the tighter areas, especially when it came to the trim on the windows or even like outlining the address itself, just to make it pop a little bit. And then here we are, we have our final result. Now all we need to do is take off the masking tape. My favorite part, kind of like unwrapping the painting itself. So luckily our client already had an 8x10 frame picked out for this piece. So really, once I untaped the whole thing, I just needed to cut it down to its size with an x-acto knife. And there we have it, our end piece. Alright guys, so I hope you liked the video. I hope you found it helpful, maybe inspirational, I don't know, something. Feel free if you have any questions or would like to see something certain, specific in the future, leave a comment below. Yeah, definitely. Alright, just to give you guys another glance, this is what it came out to be. Oh yeah, we got a cozy little home right there with some trees. Yes. Oh. By the way, this client moved out of this house, so they no longer live here. Don't go visit them. They're strangers now. But also, hey, leave me a like if you like this video, and also subscribe to stay on the up and up for like future posts. Yes, thank you again, guys. I'm Amy, High on Your Supply.